Good morning. Thanks for connecting this morning.
Yesterday's gone and a new day has appeared, and I'm grateful that I made it here. Blessings gonna find me here.
I pray that you all have had a great week so far.
Favor gonna find me here. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I miss say money gonna find me here. Blessings gonna find me here. Oh na 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 na. Something good gonna happen in this year, and
I'm going to give it a few minutes and give a few other people time to connect with us this morning.
yesterday's gone and a new day has appeared, and I'm grateful that I made it here. Blessings gonna find me here. Oh yeah, favor gonna find me here. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I miss say money gonna find me here. Blessings gonna find me here. Oh na 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 na. Something good gonna happen in this year.
Good morning, Drika. Happy Father's Day. Good morning, Drayden. Happy Father's Day to you. I said happy Father's Day to you, Drika. I was meaning Drayden. Draydon, good morning, man. Good morning to you, Brittany, Christian, Cash, Katie. I'm going to give a few more people time to log on. If you're in the Shreveport Bossier area today, we have artists going on downtown, hosted by Envision Media. Dre Don, yours truly, is putting it down. Good morning, Keisha. Good morning, Rosalind. Thanks for connecting. Thank you so much for the Happy Father's Day. Lucy, I love you. Thanks so much for connecting. Miss Hoy, good morning to you. Anita, good morning to you. Thanks so much for connecting with us this morning. We're going to give it a couple more minutes. I want to do something really quick right before we get ready to get started. Throw a little twist in here on y'all this morning. Yeah, let's throw a twist. We're going to do this. I'll begin immediately after this song. I just want to play this for all of the fathers in recognition of Father's Day this morning. Good morning, fam. Happy Father's Day to you, bro.
It's a lonely road, and they don't care about what you know. It's not about how you feel, but what you provide inside that home.
Good morning, Tay.
Being a man is what you make it. You can't always live up to expectations. You try to please everybody while you struggle, so you fake it and end up out of balance, compromising situations. As a good man, do what he should, man. Give everything he has and do everything he could, man. You might find yourself feeling all alone inside a house you built that you don't recognize as home. And that's what my daddy told me, and I'll tell my son the same. Now that I'm older, I relate and I actually feel his pain. He never cried, he might have lied, but he did not complain. And he said, son, one day you'll have to do the same. I get emotional when I stop and think and I look around. Beyond the county lines of my small town, I think about all the men out there who feel like I do now, who are screaming on the inside but won't ever make a sound.
Morning, Cam.
I don't expect you to understand. I just hope I can explain what it's like to be a man. It's a lonely road, and they don't care about what you know. It's not about how you feel, but what you provide inside that home. Don't give up, keep fighting.
All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. We're going to go ahead and get started this morning. I'm going to make an adjustment right here. And happy Father's Day coming from Gwen. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Tay. Again, thanks for connecting, all of you guys. Happy Father's Day to every one of you fathers. Althea, thanks for Alethea. I've been saying your name wrong all this time. Alethea, thank you so much for connecting this morning. So we're going to go ahead and get started today. I'm not going to keep you, as many of you may have plans to celebrate the fathers in your life. So we won't be very long. Felicia or Felicity, thanks so much for connecting. Thank you so much for the Happy Father's Day. We're going to not be very long this morning. But I do want to talk to you about, I want to take pause for the occasion. Very often we have, almost around the calendar year, we really take time to acknowledge mothers and the phenomenal job that it takes to be a mother, and the power and the strength that most women embody. And it's often acknowledged. But a thing that we don't really acknowledge as much is our men and our fathers. And in a rare moment for me, I want to take a few minutes and just kind of acknowledge what we have in men, and just speak to your hearts. Those of you who are here, I want to speak to your hearts about the disposition and the challenge of being a man, and also a father. There's a passage in the scripture in the book of Malachi when in chapter 4, the Bible says that before the Messiah would come, or the Christ would come, God says, I will send the spirit of Elijah, and he will turn the hearts of the hearts of the children back to the father, and the hearts of the father to the children. And this was important enough for God to say, look, before I send Christ, I'm going to do this. This is going to have to be in order. Okay. And so you may wonder, why was it so important that the spirit of Elijah returned, and what exactly does that mean? Well, Elijah was a prophet of God, right? And so the people of God, they depended upon the prophets to hear from God. They depended upon the prophets to hear from God, right? They didn't have a scripture, YouTube, or any of the internet Bible apps that we have today. So they really depended upon the prophet. And the Bible says that God was going to send back the prophetic utterance, the prophetic voice back before Christ came, so that the hearts of the children, all of us, will be turned back to the Father, and the heart of the Father will be turned back to the children. Before you could ever really receive the fullness of who Christ is, you have to receive, or be able to receive, the heart of the fathers, right? And that, I think, is a testament of how important fathers are to us in our lives. And so I know that most people really don't care to hear about the importance of a father and the role of a father and a man, because of your experience that you may have had. And that's your choice. You can weigh that how you may, but it's still very important enough for the Lord to take pause and to make sure that was in place before He sent your Savior. He needed your heart to be right towards the Father. And so, as it relates to biological fathers, or someone that occupy the role of a father in your life, what you have to understand about this is one of the greatest challenges of a man is to be a father, because as a man, being a father characterizes, in certain aspects of life, it characterizes all that you are. And true fathers are fathers to more than just those that he may biologically father. Like as a father, there are no borders that will cut you off from anyone that is not your own. Whenever you have the heart of a father, you're just a father, and you're a father to whomever. It doesn't matter. There is no cutoff to the love, and there is no cutoff or end to the extent that you would go to father, right? And this is something that I believe that we're missing in the culture of our country today. And I think that we're missing it as a result of a lot of the chatter that we have experienced for a period of time now, in the demeaning and the degrading and the devaluing of the position of a father, right? Because you have to deal with deadbeat dads. You have to deal with the all men that are dogs. There's so much that we're up against and we're fighting against. And I'm not going to go through all of the obstacles that we face. I want to talk about the backside of that. As a back on the backside, that the backstory to being a man, and especially a father. When women conceive, you have the biological process for 9 months, if you carry full term, where your body begins to prepare you to be a mother. Your maternal instincts are developed, and you're just prepared, and it's a part of the natural process. So a lot of what you do is natural, it's in your nature. But on the contrary, as men, there is no real preparation, right? It's just one day you deliver, in that day, the reality of the responsibility that we have with our fathers are placed upon us. Unfortunately, most men enter into fatherhood without preparation, and we are responsible for carrying out a role or filling in a role that we have no knowledge of. And so this is where I believe that grace should be extended to men that are fathers. And I want to speak to especially you women who are married, or you women that have children. Man, sometimes we just don't know. I'm not going to try to make it spiritual. I'm not going to try to make it something up in the clouds. But as men, sometimes we just don't know. We were never taught. And because of pride and ego, it's hard to say, as a man, I have no idea what I'm doing here. I don't know what to do. I don't know how this thing go. As a father, as a husband, I don't know. I have no clue. I have no references. And so we find ourselves kind of feeling our way through the dark about how to fill the role that is before us, and how to meet the expectations that are placed upon us. And because we have no references, we often make mistakes, and we're often unable to meet the expectation. And we're taxed every time we fail. As a husband, as a father, as a man, we're taxed every time we make a mistake, every time we fail to meet the expectation. And because as men, we are not as compassionate as women, what you should also understand is that lack of compassion that we have towards others, we also have it towards ourselves. If any man would share his heart, you would know that most men are just as hard on themselves, are harder on themselves as you can ever be. And if the truth be told, you don't have to even tell a man when he's wrong, when he's being sorry, when he is just missing the mark, because we already know and we judge ourselves very critically. And so whenever you add children to that equation, the idea of a man having to protect his children, his seed, not to mention his wife, when you add that, a child to the equation, to a man that really doesn't know how to protect himself. I'm not talking about physically protect yourself. I'm talking about spiritually, intellectually. Because I think some of the greatest sufferers of mental illness are men. I think that men are some of the greatest sufferers of mental illness because we don't communicate with each other. We don't communicate with those who have been placed in our lives and with the relationships that we have. We don't communicate our weakness because it's not manly to do so. The way that we are wired not to share our fears. We'll share what makes us mad before we share with you what causes fear in us. And the truth of the matter is most men have fears. We have fears as it relates to our children. We have fears as it relates to our wives, as our families. Because the responsibility, just like you have the maternal instinct as women to nurture your children and to nurture those who are in your life, as men, there is an instinct, a natural born instinct to protect and provide for your children, your wife, your families, those who you love, those who are close to you. You have a natural born instinct to do so. And the responsibility of that is quite intimidating, especially when you don't have a reference and you have not been taught and you have not learned and you've skated through life trying to look the part and play the role, and you never even read the script. You don't really know the details of what it entails of. And so you kind of freestyling through fatherhood. You're freestyling through being a husband. You're freestyling in through being a protector and a provider. And it is obvious to the audience of our lives that we really don't know what we're doing. And when we recline back within ourselves, when you're not hanging with the homies, when you're not watching sports, when you're not doing so, the thoughts of the mind of a man are very critical upon his ways and his actions. And there is always a demand for more from us that we place upon ourselves. There's always that demand there. And because that demand is consistent and steady and always, we find ourselves never being able to rest psychologically. And as a result of that, when you come to us as our wives, as our women, as our mothers, as our daughters, our sons, when you come to us, we seem like we're frustrated and angry. And it's not that we're frustrated and angry with you. We're frustrated and angry because we don't know ourselves. We don't know. And we're weary because I have beat myself up all night, and when I wake up in the morning, then everybody else is coming down upon me. And listen, I want you to understand, this is not a pity party, right? That we're having. This is the reality of the burden and the weight that we carry. This is something that we deal with daily. And not to mention being a black man, especially in the country, our nation, in the United States of America, being a black man, whenever you go to work, you have to be conscious of the way that you carry yourself in the workplace, because the opportunities that are readily available for others, we have to fight for. And then when we come amongst ourselves as black men, we have to fight for position, honor, and respect amongst each other. And then when we come back to our relationships, we have to fight for honor and respect from our partners. And then with our children, we have to fight for honor and respect from our children. If mom missed a soccer game, then cool. But if dad missed a soccer game, then shame on him. And I'm not saying that it's okay not to be involved, but what I'm saying is that we're fighting on every hand, and there is no safe place for most men. I'm saying most men, not all men, because there are brothers that have healthy relationships and they have places to go, and there are those who have taken the time to establish and put in place the pillars and the people that they need in order to maintain their mental health as men. But for the mass majority, they don't. Because you can ask a man, any man, whenever you are overwhelmed, who do you run to cry? I'm not talking about talk. I'm saying, who do you run to cry? Most men don't even want to cry to God because it has been suggested that that is a sign of weakness. So men don't cry out to God. You don't cry out to your partner because it is a sign of weakness. And definitely you don't cry out to your children, because if your children see you hurting, they embody your pain and end up being a product of what you are. And you don't want your children like that. And so we're toughing it out. And in the loudest silence of our inward parts, there's a wailing and a weeping that no one around us hear. And it echoes throughout our entire being while we smile through it. We grin and we bear it. We get over it. We keep it moving. We do all of these things, but on the inside, you hear the weeping and the wailing of a man. A man hear his own cries day and night for the most part. I don't care how successful that man is. I don't care how influential he is. We know our own weaknesses and our own vulnerabilities, and where you may not be able to identify all of these areas, real men, we can identify it in ourselves, and we know it within ourselves, and we're disappointed in us. There is nothing more disappointing to a man except to know that you're disappointing the people around you. If you say to a man, I can't stand you, get out of my face, I don't want to have nothing else to do with you, don't say nothing else to me, we can take that because we're used to it. But if you look a man in his eye and say, I'm really disappointed, you will bring the strongest of men to our knees, because again, it's in our nature not to disappoint. And when we disappoint the people that love us and the people that depend upon us, there is an internal crumbling that happens. And it's hard to recover. It's hard to recover. It's hard to get over it. And when most of the time, when women when women are getting over things, when they're healing, going through their healing process, this is a time where they take and they talk it out. They talk through it. They communicate through it. They're able to articulate their feelings and stuff. But remember, as men, we don't have nobody to talk to. And so we never really get over it. We never really get over our disappointments. We never get over our losses. We never get over our failures. And within the seclusion of our own being, most men are carrying some of the most traumatic disappointments, self-inflicted disappointments. And you know, when I didn't even know I was about to go here, but I'm about to get ready to share some stuff, and I hope the brothers don't get mad at me for breaking the bro code. I'm just gonna break it for a minute. Whenever you're dealing with men who are unable to be faithful in a relationship, those attributes, those ways are signs of a man that's looking for someone that he could appear great to. As men, we want to appear great. We want to appear as providers and protectors. And what happens is whenever our weaknesses and our vulnerabilities are exposed in one relationship, a man will go and look for another relationship. Not that that's right. I'm not saying it's right. But most men that are unable to be loyal and faithful, it is because of their internal weaknesses. And they know that I have not been the best man to this woman. And so they try to start over with another woman who may see them as a knight in shining armor, because your first partner, last partner, or present partner know your weaknesses. Whenever a man's weaknesses are exposed to a woman, he looks for a place where he can hide his weaknesses. And so when men go from relationship to relationship and entertaining multiple relationships, though they're looking for hiding places. Because at home, my weaknesses are exposed to you, but whenever I go on the other side of town, she don't see my weaknesses because I haven't made myself that vulnerable. And if peradventure my weaknesses are exposed to her, I'm going to go and find somewhere else to hide. See, being a player is not really what it looks like. Being a player is really a game of survival. You're trying to survive with the little bit of manhood that you have left. And so whenever men, and I'm sure some of you women have probably heard this said, or possibly even said to you, me cheating had nothing to do with you. It was me. That's true. Believe that. It has nothing to do with you most of the time. If a man is saying that, yeah, you're the reason why I cheated, then that's a man that's not ready to deal with who he is. But whenever a man is saying it has nothing to do with you, it's me, yeah, it's because I can't stand to see you see me, how weak I am and how broken I am and what all I need to repair in myself. I can't stand seeing you see where I lack integrity. I cannot stand you seeing where I lack knowledge in my inability to correct and fix things that need to be fixed in the relationship. So I'll go and look for a place to hide in. And most of the time you hide in other relationships or affairs. And then there are men that don't do that. They hide in their work. And they're too busy. And I can't come around my kids. I can show them that I work all the time. But I'm afraid to sit down with my daughters because my daughter may ask me some questions that I cannot answer because I'm guilty of myself as a man. I don't want my daughter to ask me, why do men cheat? Because I was a cheater. I don't want my sons to ask me certain things because I cannot give them the answer because integrally I have compromised the answer that he need to hear, and I feel like a hypocrite saying it, so I'm going to let him see me work. And I'll show you my physical strength because emotionally I'm broken down. I can't let you see me that weak. And so we avoid those conversations. And there's a genre of men that hide themselves in work. And then you also have the pride of a man that will hide in his successes and his accomplishments externally, the things that he's been able to accomplish and succeed at doing. And I will overemphasize that, and I will overengage and overindulge in that, because if I sit down and become transparent before you, you'll see that I did all of those things while I was struggling on the inside. And had it not been for me becoming a successful and a popular public figure, you will see how broken I am as a man. You'll see how much I don't know. And so what I do know, I magnify it and amplify it times 100 so that no one will ever probe my heart and probe my mind, and no one will ever get a chance to understand or perceive or discern my emotional state of being, because emotionally, I am a mess. When we say women are more emotional, men are just not emotional beings, that's a lie. We are emotional. But because emotionally we're so messed up, we don't even acknowledge them. And we learn how to numb ourselves to our emotions. And you're taught from a little kid how to numb your emotions. You fall down and you cry. We tell you, don't express that emotion. Stop crying. You're a big boy. Be a big boy. That didn't hurt. And you're groomed to become numb to your emotions, but you still have them. Every man that's on this live right now can tell you that we still have emotions. We deal with stuff. And let's just be clear about it. You may not walk in the room and see us moping around all the time, but when we go to the toilet and we're sitting with ourselves, when we're standing in the shower and we're standing there with ourselves, when you lay down in the bed at night and the TV go off and your eyes are still open, and the only voice you hear is your own in your head, reminding you of all the areas that you lack in emotionally, it is depleting. It's depleting, and it's challenging, and it's tormenting, and it's agonizing. And we've been taught not to share these things. We've been taught how to cloak it. We've been taught how to hide these things. And most men are hiding from themselves. You know, I say all the time whenever I'm coaching, depending upon what I'm dealing with, I'll tell people it's easier to look out of the window than it is to look in the mirror. Most men spend our lives looking out of the window, because when we look out of the window, we decide what we look upon. We decide what captures our attention. We decide what our perspective or point of view. We decide our vision. But whenever you look in the mirror, you see yourself. That's why it's not that's why it's so common for women to spend more time in the mirror than a man. Now, some men, don't get me wrong, now some men spend a lot of time in the mirror, but for the most part, men don't spend a lot of time in the mirror. We get ready and walk out the house looking wrong because we ain't take time to look in the mirror. A woman will look in the mirror. A woman will put her wig on, look in the mirror, put her makeup on, look in the mirror, put her garments on, look in the mirror, put her shoes on, look in the mirror, put a purse on her shoulder and go back to the mirror and check before she walk out. Men, we don't do that. Because it's easier to look out of the window than it is to look in the mirror. Because when I look in the mirror, I see everything that I didn't do right by you. I see everything that I didn't do right by my children because we're not looking upon our physical appearance when we look in the mirror. When we look in the mirror, we're seeing what we're made of and what we're not made of. We're seeing what we've mastered, and we're also seeing what we've messed up. Will we admit that to you? 9 times out of 10, probably not. Will we admit it to another man? 9 times out of 10, probably not. Will we admit it to ourselves? 100% of the time. 100% of the time. And when we miss the mark, as it relates to our family, our children, our wives, and those that we love, when we miss the mark, it tears us up internally. Every single time. Every single time. And so, to wrap all of this up, on occasions like today, that according to our culture in America, on today's like today, that's set aside to acknowledge our fathers and celebrate our fathers, I think it's important that we're able to do so without judgment. You don't have to tell the father what he hasn't been to his children or to his wife or to his family or to his friends. Everything that I've said today, I'm saying because I want you guys to know we already know that. We already know. But what you can do to change and break this pattern is to just say, hey, look, I do realize that you haven't been perfect as a father. I know that you're not perfect as a man, but today we appreciate you for the role that you have played in making life what it is. We appreciate who God has set you to be in the earth, even if you have not arrived to that place yet. Don't give up. Don't give up. Keep striving. Keep pursuing. Even though you don't know how to communicate, even though you don't know how to be emotionally sensitive, even though you spend most days detached, today we want you attached because we appreciate you and we want to encourage you. We want to encourage you. We want you to know we acknowledge you. We acknowledge that you're human. So that's what, to me, today is about. It's not about giving me a pat on the back for what I've done, because as a father, it's in me to do naturally. Today is about encouraging me not to give up. Today is about saying, hey, look, keep striving. I love you all. I pray that you all have a great afternoon. Please take a moment to encourage the fathers that are in your life. The men, please take the time to encourage them and tell them to keep going, not give up. If you don't have anything to celebrate in the Father, just acknowledge him. Acknowledge him. That's it. Just acknowledge him. And you'll be surprised at the impact that just acknowledging the Father will have on a man, acknowledging him as Father. I love you all. I bid you all blessings and Godspeed. Listen, if you need me before next Sunday morning, 10:30 a.m. Central Standard Time, please don't hesitate to reach out to me via text message, phone call, email, inbox, DM, email, however. Reach out to me and I'll get back to you as my earliest convenient. I will see you guys on next week. Don't forget to go and make your donations. If you need to know how to make a donation, reach out to the person that shared this link with you, or reach out to me and I will forward that information to you. But by all means, please make a donation. I love you all, and to all my brothers, happy Father's Day, man. We're acknowledging each other today. I bid you blessings and Godspeed. I will see you all next week.
Blessings gonna find me here. Oh yeah. Favor gonna find me here. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I miss money gonna find me here. Blessings gonna find me here. Oh na 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 na. Something good gonna happen in this year, and I am grateful that I made it here. Yesterday's gone and a new day has appeared, and I am grateful that I made it here. Blessings gonna find me here. Oh yeah. Favor gonna find me here. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I miss money gonna find me here. Blessings gonna find me here. Oh na na na.